You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing.
Good morning, Rooted Men. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries, and I'm in the office getting it done. Good to have you on board. It's Wednesday. I'm hoping I got some grandkids, the boys, coming to the house today, so hoping to get a little time off in the middle of the day to go wrestle around and play with them. So I'm looking forward to that. Busy week. We're not live streaming on Rumble, so I got Aaron looking into that. But what a blessing to see you guys pop on, truly. It's encouraging to me that we get to share this time and kind of do devotions together. So we're in Proverbs chapter 31, which means we're in the last book of Proverbs. So I'm looking for some insight or some suggestions on where you might want to go next. And so just kind of let me know, shoot a message or shoot me a text. Most of you have my number. But we're going to be looking at Proverbs 31, 1 through 9. And before I do that, let's say hello to a few people. Well, I'm on board. Good morning, Rooted Men. I saw Ken Gooch is on board. Chris Connolly's on board. Bert Reggiani is on board. There's about 4, 5, 6 others on board. Rumble's not working. Twitter, 1 or 2 people's on board. So, all right, we're getting it done. All right, back to Proverbs chapter 31. And 31 is about women. The book of Proverbs is directed to men. And this one is too, but it's a reminder of what these women mean to us. That it wasn't good for man to be alone. And so he makes a helpmate and creates one flesh out of 2 individuals. Not 2 individuals that, run a 50-50 ownership business, but the melding of one individual, where the word we is used more often than I, you. This synthesis. Like there's a synthesis in the Trinity. One essence, but 3 persons. But at any rate, it starts out, this whole thing is sayings of King Lemuel. But in the first verse, King Lemuel tells us that these are utterances from his mother. Truths, wisdom, that his mother laid upon him. See, obviously, it's not just men that can have the wisdom of God. It's anyone who believes in the Holy Spirit. Anyone who is working to become a disciple of Jesus Christ will gain wisdom and discernment. But listen to mom's advice. And I'm going to pull it up to you. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son, listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. There you go. Listen. A biblical woman is praying for her husband and for her children, just like as a biblical man is praying for his wife and children and seeking wisdom and discernment, how this triad can live out the best reflection of the Holy Trinity, loving God with our whole heart, whole mind, whole soul, loving our neighbors as ourselves. This woman is praying for wisdom, and she says to her son, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. Admitting that there is a force other than the force of God's kingdom, and there is a force that wants to destroy. And for many men, that force is sexuality, and all of a sudden other women become the focus. That's why in Proverbs there's so many messages about the adulterous woman and the guy that looks like an animal being led by the nose because he can't even think, because all he is like radar walking his way into the path of the adulterous woman, only to have himself slayed and killed and destroyed. How are you going to spend your strength? How are you going to live out your day to day? Where are you going to put your emphasis? What's most important to you today? Something that I've been praying about a lot is I'm reading through the Old Testament, and there's this line of people that supported David in this one small group. Most of them were in the thousands, and it says that they were the tribe of Issachar. I think it says that there's like 200 men who could interpret the times and knew what they should do. They had the wisdom to see and give advice to David as to how he should direct the nation and direct things. Amazing. How are you going to spend your energy today? Where's your focus going to be? Lemuel's mom says, not on women. My dad used to say, you know, whatever that might be, it lasts for a minute and then it's done. Like, that's a lot of energy that could create a lot of trouble in a short period of time. It's not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not to be rulers that crave beer. Realizing that there are substances out there that can affect our personalities and affect the way we think and affect the way we act. How can you have a clear head and how can you have a discerning mind? And that those chemicals, whatever they might be, they have an alluring effect that creates addictions. That the mind immediately, the energy immediately says, I have to have that, I got to go get that, I need that. Without even a thought that maybe I don't, and maybe it's harming me, and maybe it's misleading me. I mean, the wisdom that Lemuel's mom is dropping down is like mic dropping. She says in verse 6, let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are anguishing. Oh, she sees a benefit. I mean, there are times when we just want to sedate for a minute because we've gone through a tremendous suffering or pain or anguish. See, it's not that beer's wrong. It's not that the chemicals are wrong. It depends on how we use them. And whether they begin to use us and we become slaves to them rather than the substance a slave to us. It's amazing that she's not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but saying you have to have the right perspective on all these things. But God created all these good things, but Satan will use them to destroy us. So we got to make sure that we're looking at the things from the kingdom of this world from God's kingdom. We have to have this perspective. We have to have the Issachar perspective, that we understand the day, we understand the times, and we know what we can do and what we should do and not do to effectively live out a life that we should. Verses 8 and 9, where I'm going to end, are verses that I have used my whole Christian life when it comes to things like abortion, things like marginalizing people groups, like not taking care of the poor, not taking care of those who have infirmities, not taking care of our veterans, that people groups get lost. If nobody's paying attention to them, they just get forgotten. The homeless. Mom's telling King Lemuel as a boy, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of those who are destitute. Speak up and judge rightly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. See, most of the time we treat them as just that, poor and needy, and we just kind of hide them away. We just want to put them in the background of society, and it kind of, you even ignore that they exist. But a true man of God with a clear head realizes that every people group and every person is imago Dei, created in the image of God, just as much as you are. And so we don't allow any society to punish one over another, abuse one over another, or forget one over another, but we defend, and we speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, who don't have a voice. The Bible seems to say that the measure of our character is how we take care of the least of these. When you did it to the least of these, you did it unto me. There's a lot of wisdom in this last chapter of the book of Proverbs. Much for us as men to ponder. What is our priority today? At the end of the day, what will we think about the day? And at the end of the day, what would Jesus be thinking about the end of the day? Who did we just walk past? Who did we just ignore? Who did we, with our voice, say they don't matter? Who are we overlooking? Who needs to be defended and spoken up for? Why are we silent? I think I'll leave it at that. I think I laid enough down. But I encourage you today to kind of repeat and have on your phone maybe Proverbs 31, 8 and 9. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of those who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, righteously. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. God would call that a noble choice. The kingdom of this world, meaningless. Let them fend for themselves. We got to watch out for us. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. A couple of other guys popped in. Tony, good morning. Brian, good morning, men. All right, if you have any ideas about where you want to go next week, a book of the Bible, a section of the Bible, let me know. And other than that, have a great day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.